right, Els, a podcast. I believe it's your first time.
Yes, for me it is, and for you?
Yeah, for me too. Yeah, so good. That makes the two of us. Well, to make a quick sketch about the situation here, we're right now at the Research Center of Vegetable Production in Sint-Katelijne-Waver in Antwerp, Belgium. Els is a researcher here, but I will let her introduce herself. She knows herself way better than I do.
Okay, thank you, Robbie. So I'm Els Bergmoes and I work here at the research station for quite some years. So since 2006 I am carrying out the research in the frame of water and fertilization in the greenhouses. My main focus is on how to use water and fertilizer in a more sustainable way. And my specific focus is on how to use rainwater as much as we can, and also to see how nutrient loss emissions can be reduced.
Right, it's very clear. And to make the scene complete, because I haven't introduced myself, I'm Robbie. I'm pretty new here at the research station. Els hired me a few weeks ago to do some communication here, so that's what I'm going to try to do right now, right here. So Els, about Fertinnowa, can you tell me briefly what it stands for and why it's a project that deserves its place in the world? It's all about water, I've heard.
Yes, that's correct, Robbie. So Fertinnowa was a thematic network funded by the Horizon 2020 program, and it was performed between 2016 and 2018. So the project has ended already more than a year. The focus of Fertinnowa laid on exchanging knowledge about best practices in the field of water and nutrient use efficiency and the reduction of nutrient losses. And to answer your question, why it deserves a place in the world, in my opinion, it is because it was a very big European initiative where a lot of member states were collaborating in the exchange of knowledge and best practices. And it also was a program or a project that was starting really from the farmers or the farmers' problem. So it really was a bottom-up project. In the frame of the Fertinnowa project, in the first year, we did a questionnaire with more than 300 farmers all over Europe. And we really went to the farms and asked the farmers why they did not implement new technologies. And by doing this, we really learned quite a lot about the different reasons why they did not or really did pick up a technology. And that was very interesting for us, and that's also has been the main input for the rest of the project.
And what were the main reasons why they didn't want to use the technology?
The main reasons were that they didn't trust the technology. If they didn't have the opportunity to watch it working under practical conditions, they really were not sure if it would work in their company. They didn't trust the technology then. So they really wanted to see field trials, etc., with their own eyes and visit the technology. Other topics were, for example, that legislation was not in line with the technology. So, okay, they had an interest in the technology, but maybe one aspect did not apply with the legislation. That made that they did not were able to implement it.
All right. So that's why you did a technology exchange project also, or?
Yes, we wanted to go a bit further than only exchanging technologies. We really wanted to do something in the field because we saw that it was so important for the farmers. We already experienced that in previous trials, and it was not only our Flemish point of view, but also in other European member states, they had the same view. So we wanted to go a little bit further and exchange technologies all over Europe. So if there was a problem in Poland with algae, we searched all over Europe to have a good solution complying with the expectations of the farmers and implement it in Poland. And that we also did in the UK, in Spain, in all the member states involved in the project. And it really showed to be successful because we gained a huge interest of the farmers. And at the end of the project, we had more than 25 exchanges performed by the project consortium. But next to that, a lot of other initiatives were taken by the farmers themselves.
So quite a success in only a few years' time.
Yes, in our opinion it was, and the only reason why that could be so successful was because we really started from the point of view of the farmers.
Yeah. So really bottom up, starting with the farmers, starting with their problems.
Yeah, and also including all the aspects of implementation of a technology. Also talking with, for example, the policy makers, etc., to stress them what the problems are for farmers to implement the technology.
Okay, cool. And that all led to a Bible.
Yes, it did. So at the end, it also was very important for us to exchange all the project results and outputs to the different audiences or end users of the project. We had fact sheets for the farmers, and as you say, Robbie, we also made a fertigation Bible, and that was the collection of the more technological related outcomes of the project. We have collected them all in a kind of Bible, and it seemed very successful. It was very well received by the audience. As today we have over 2,500 downloads, and now we are also expecting very soon the first Chinese translation that will be sold to the Chinese Grower Society.
Okay, cool. So if there wasn't a pandemic right now, you probably would be in China signing thousands of books.
I'm not sure, but we will see.
Okay. So back to the project. What was the main trigger for you and for the research center to be part of it?
The reason why goes a couple of years before we have submitted the Fertinnowa project, because in that time there was a Flemish assignment that the research stations had to collect more information about how member states of the European Union were complying with the nutrient directive. And in the frame of that assignment, we visited quite a lot of member states, and we asked those member states or people from those member states, research stations, etc., how their farmers were performing for that nitrate directive. And what we saw was that a lot of the member states or the farmers there were experiencing the same problems, but that there also were quite a lot of interesting technologies and best practices available in those member states, but we were not aware of them. And when we were performing that assignment and making the reports, we already saw, okay, if we could put that solution in that area, that might be a potential way to resolve some problems there. And so that was really the starting point of the idea of the Fertinnowa project.
Okay, but there was nobody before you that ever thought about putting solutions from another country in another country, or
I guess other people will have had the same idea, but for this specific topic, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. And what was your contribution to the project?
The research station acted as the coordinator of the project, and we tried to make all those people from those 23 partners working together in the project in a very constructive way. And I have to say that together with all the people of the project, we really succeeded in this collaboration.
Okay, cool. So, and what was actually in it for you and for the research center itself?
For the research station itself, it was the really first time that the research station was coordinating an EU project. And for the research station, it showed having a huge importance to get to elaborate our European network and to get in contact with other coordinators and set up also some further initiatives. So based on the Fertinnowa project, we were involved in a broad series of other European initiatives. So it was a really starting point for European collaborations. For me personally, the project the role as a coordinator gave me the chance to open up my view on the European horticultural sector. So the years during the project, I learned a lot about different aspects of the sector. So, for example, I know now more about how horticulture in Spanish regions is performed, and that, for example, situations in Valencia where you have a lot of irrigator communities are completely different to how we distribute our water. So it's a very big diversity in legislations and policies, and also in ways people are acting, especially those farmers. And it really was a very eye-opener for me. I also realized how big the impact was of the changing climate. For example, the years I spoke with people in Slovenia, or the Slovenian farmers, the 3 years the project was taking, we saw that I think 2 out of the 3 years the fruit production was influenced a lot by a very late frost they had. And also you saw the need for irrigation, you saw it growing every year. So it really was astonishing to see how big the impact of climate change was becoming. And last but not least, it gave me the chance to work together with a broad group of highly experienced people and passionate people, and that was really a very nice way of working together. I really enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But I also can imagine that it wasn't, it may sound like it, but I can't believe it was a walk in the park. I mean, what were the main difficulties along the way?
I think what you always have with this kind of project, it was a blind date for the for the different project partners. I only knew the Flemish partners involved in the project, which were only 4, and all the other project members or consortium members were unknown for me. So it was the first half of a year you get to know each other, and then you also have to find a way on how you can collaborate in an intensive way together. It took, I think, a year and a half, and then we were really on a good way to elaborate with each other. Yes, and then you always face some difficulties, but as I said, we had a very enthusiastic team, and that made that they did much more work than they should have done based on the paperwork or the proposal, but they were so enthusiastic that they did much more, and this resulted, for example, in the Fertigation Bible, which was a huge effort, but it was worth.
And with good results at the end.
Yes.
That's the most important thing, I think. All right, but I have to say I'm pretty new here in the team of Water and Soil in Belgium. I'm only here for a few weeks, but I can surely tell that you are all very passionate about water. But I can imagine water for most people, it isn't that important at first sight because it's just always there. It's always present. Last year in Belgium, we had a small shortage of water. People were kindly asked not to water their lawn or to not wash their cars, but I think that no one realizes how present water is, but it's a very important factor. I mean, water is life. What do we need to do to make it top of mind again, or what needs to happen?
I think what we were experiencing the last years here in Belgium, and maybe to point that out a little bit, the last 4 years we experienced quite a lot of water shortage in the summer times, and it's not that amazing that we are facing this water shortage, because if you would see in Belgium, there is not much fresh water coming in. So if it's not raining, there is not really a lot of extra water coming into our country. And if you see that we are very densely populated, there is a lot of water consumption per square meter in what we have to admit a small country. So it's not so amazing that we have water shortage. What I think, and now I'm talking about the point of view of agriculture and horticulture, we still can make some steps forward in more efficient water use. But I see also today that a lot of farmers are getting to the point that they are aware that they have to change things. I see for the last 2 years that a lot of people are taking actions to get more water to their farms, to see that they can cover the very dry summer periods. So there are things changing. What I think still needs some extra push is that we as the agricultural sector or as a farmer, we might need to see further than only the barriers of our company, but that we have to see how we can collaborate with other sectors and also the nature systems around us to see how we can collect enough water for food production without harming the ecosystems around us. And I think that's a very big topic to take care of in the coming years.
Maybe another big European project.
I think it's a topic worth European focus, but as far as I see it now, there is a lot of European focus on this topic.
Already?
Yeah. Yes.
So just to finish this little podcast, what's your favorite project or research topic at the moment when it comes to water?
That's a difficult question to answer because it's always tough to pick out something. But the most challenging topic at the moment is to make greenhouses future-proof in the field of water management with respect to the surrounding ecosystems. And that's a goal I want to contribute to quite a lot.
The Arachnis project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme under grant agreement number 817863.
Royalty-free music from Ben Sound.